we are kicking things off with crucial information for anyone looking to navigate the data center landscape. Forward Worthington is hosting Data Center's 101 information session this Thursday at the Worthington Event Center. Chris Hohensee is leading the discussion on what data centers actually are, how they are built, and the critical steps communities need to take to partner effectively with this growing industry. This session promises to demystify the technology and provide the accurate information needed for informed decisions. Concerns about electric rates and the environment, and the tight deadline she faces to influence the governor's decision. And finally, the battle for the future of AI infrastructure continues with legal action. We go to Memphis, Tennessee, where the NAACP is suing Elon Musk and XAI over pollution from their data center power plants. Join us as we speak with Memphis organizer Key Sean Pearson about this major legal fight and what it means for the industry moving forward. Forward Worthington is hosting a free general information session titled Data Centers 101 to educate the public on the fundamentals of data centers. Partnering with the Southwest Initiative Foundation, SWAF, the event will take place on Thursday, April 30, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Worthington Event Center, located at 1447 Prairie Doctor. The session will feature 4 expert speakers designed to provide a comprehensive overview of what data centers are and how they are developed. Chris Hohensee, Forward Worthington's Economic Development and Membership Coordinator, emphasized that the goal is to provide the general public with valid information to inform their decisions regarding data centers, clarifying that the event is not specific to any particular local projects. The program draws its foundation from a successful data center basics session conducted by the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, SMIF, in southeast Minnesota. The speakers include Thomas Jackson, a partner and mechanical engineer at Dunham Associates, who will detail the basics of data centers, covering construction, cooling methods, contents, maintenance, and more. Carrie Jennings, Research and Policy Director at Freshwater in St. Paul, will address critical topics such as water use and environmental concerns. Bate Labence, Executive Director of the University of Minnesota Extension's Southwest Regional Sustainable Development Partnerships, will present research from her co-partner. Catherine Neuschler, Executive Director of the Minnesota Environmental Quality Board, will discuss state-level regulations and key policy issues related to data centers. Hohensee stressed that the session aims to teach communities how to partner effectively to navigate data center exploration and collaboration, focusing on open communication to ensure communities receive accurate information and can determine their stance. The event is open to the public at no cost and requires no registration. A recording of Data Centers 101 will be made available on Forward Worthington's YouTube page after the session. Forward Worthington stated that providing this accurate information is crucial for the region, supporting consumers, businesses, and agricultural producers in the reading area to base their decisions on facts. Township supervisors across Pennsylvania are urgently calling on their colleagues to adopt zoning regulations specifically for data centers, citing growing concerns over infrastructure strain, environmental impact, and community disruption. The push for local control comes as data centers, facilities housing thousands of computers for internet traffic and artificial intelligence rapidly expand. In Upper Merion Township, Pennsylvania, officials proactively amended their zoning ordinance after a developer submitted numerous proposals for data center construction in areas zoned for office and industrial use, a move they asserted would preempt the new regulations under state land use laws. Data centers are a significant concern nationally, with Pennsylvania hosting 52 active facilities and around 70 proposals under review. Experts warn that a single data center can consume the electricity of a small city, potentially overtaxing the state's grid, which PJM interconnection forecasts will see a nearly 17% peak load increase over the next decade. Community opposition is mounting, driven by fears regarding noise, air pollution, and strain on water resources. Residents across the state are actively urging local officials to block development, drawing on experiences from other regions. Township officials are navigating a difficult balance between appeasing constituents and managing litigious business interests. In Worthington Township, supervisors traveled to Loudoun County to observe data centers firsthand before passing a new zoning ordinance after a contentious meeting. Local efforts are paralleled by legislative activity. State lawmakers are working on bills to address consumer protection against electric bill spikes and to establish regulatory frameworks for data centers. However, experts note a disconnect between local concerns and state-level policy. Planning directors highlight the complexity of the task. In Montour County, a zoning amendment was developed through a committee involving multiple municipalities to address data center impacts, emphasizing that while professional assistance exists, smaller municipalities may need to seek guidance from neighboring communities with existing regulations. Jointly, Montgomery and Chester counties have also developed a guide to help municipalities draft these complex regulations. The explosive growth in data center demand, fueled by artificial intelligence workloads, cloud computing, and widespread digitization, has ignited one of the most active infrastructure financing markets in recent history. Understanding the complex financing landscape is crucial for developers, investors, lenders, and hyperscale operators navigating this boom. Data center development is inherently capital-intensive, demanding billions for land, power infrastructure, fiber, cooling, and physical construction. To meet this demand, the market has developed several distinct financing approaches, each presenting unique advantages and trade-offs. Project finance has emerged as a cornerstone for large-scale development, particularly for facilities secured by credit-worthy anchor tenants. This structure utilizes a special purpose vehicle, allowing lenders to base credit primarily on projected cash flows rather than the sponsor's balance sheet, often enabling developers to achieve high leverage, ranging from 60% to 80% loan-to-cost. However, unlike traditional infrastructure financing, data center project finance frequently requires sponsor credit support, including guarantees for cost overruns and debt service during construction, and lenders rigorously scrutinize the creditworthiness and lease terms of anchor tenants. Syndicated credit facilities arranged by commercial banks are common for these transactions, offering cost efficiency and relationship-driven capital, though they involve lengthy documentation and conservative underwriting, especially for speculative capacity. Private credit is gaining traction, providing speed and flexibility through direct lenders and alternative asset managers. This avenue allows borrowers to negotiate bespoke terms, though it comes at the cost of higher interest rates and potentially lower market liquidity. Capital markets offer an alternative through investment-grade bond issuances and asset-backed securitizations, providing scale and longer tenors, contingent upon robust financial reporting and navigating unpredictable market windows. Joint ventures and equity partnerships are also vital, pairing developer expertise with institutional equity capital to scale pipelines, though this introduces governance complexities. Market participants must remain mindful of several key headwinds. The current interest rate environment directly impacts the cost of capital, necessitating careful modeling of various rate scenarios. Furthermore, revenue concentration tied to a single anchor tenant introduces credit risk, requiring thorough due diligence on tenant default scenarios and lease termination clauses. In summary, the data center financing market is deep and rapidly evolving. Successful participation requires disciplined underwriting, exhaustive diligence, and expert legal counsel to navigate the diverse options and inherent risks. Communities across the United States are mounting a unified resistance against the rapid expansion of data centers, fueling artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency ventures. In a significant move, Maine has become the first state in the nation to pass a statewide moratorium on large data center construction, a legislative action currently awaiting Governor Janet Mills's signature. State Representative Melanie Sachs, who sponsored the bill, emphasized that Maine residents are deeply concerned about the potential impacts on local electric and utility rates, as well as the state's environment. Sachs noted that developers have operated in secrecy, avoiding community engagement and offering only limited local job opportunities. The legislation aims to establish a collaborative council involving state agencies, ratepayer protectors, environmental groups, tribes, and municipalities to develop the necessary regulatory framework, while imposing a temporary, targeted pause on new development to ensure the framework is correct. This pushback mirrors broader national efforts. Last month, Vermont's Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced legislation proposing a national moratorium on new AI data center construction until federal laws address environmental and consumer protection concerns. Over 100 local communities across 12 states have already enacted local moratoriums. When discussing the Maine bill, Sachs highlighted the discrepancy between industry claims and reality. She pointed to a specific project in Maine, which has generated local concern due to the closure of paper mills. While proponents argue data centers boost jobs, Sachs stressed the lack of transparency regarding job quality and the potential for these facilities to consume a significant portion of the state's electricity load, impacting the entire community and statewide utility rates. She cautioned against assurances of a lesser footprint, noting that one projected data center could consume up to 10% of Maine's total load. Sachs asserted that the core issue is the lack of community consultation. She stated that AI developers are not engaging with communities, leading local groups to enact their own restrictions. She also addressed the political landscape, noting that Governor Mills has until April 25th to sign, veto, or allow the legislation to take effect. She indicated that while she is generally in favor of the bill, she is closely scrutinizing specific projects that have surfaced during the process. Sachs further addressed industry opposition, noting that lobby firms have attempted to influence the bill through amendments and reports. She stressed her commitment to writing policy based on the needs of Maine, stating the moratorium is a temporary measure designed to create the necessary time for robust regulation, not a permanent ban. Maine's position is rooted in the state's natural resources and workforce, but the resistance stems from the perceived secrecy and the potential for significant, unmitigated infrastructure strain. The state's action is part of a growing national trend as other states explore similar regulatory measures to manage the impact of AI infrastructure expansion.